Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you again for joining. My name is Alberto. I'm the Director of Administration with Universal City Studios Credit Union. So thank you for joining to this workshop. Today's session is going to be on identity theft, fraud, and scams. Today we'll be covering what identity theft, fraud, and scams actually are, and we'll spend a few minutes talking a bit about elder fraud specifically. We will also share steps to take if you experience identity theft and fraud, as well as things you can do to prevent falling victim. You may have used the terms identity theft, fraud, and scams interchangeably. While they are all related, there are some slight differences between these three things. Let's start by defining these key terms and going through some examples of each. According to the Federal Trade Commission, identity theft is when someone uses your personal or financial information without your permission. This could include info like your name, social security number, credit card, or bank account numbers. An identity thief could then use this information to do a variety of things, such as applying for credit, opening new accounts under your name, or even filing unemployment claims or tax refunds using your identity. But making sure the money goes to accounts that they have access to. Now, fraud, on the other hand, is when someone tries to trick you out of your personal information and money, according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. While this is very similar to identity theft, a key difference is that fraud often involves unauthorized use of existing accounts versus opening new accounts in your name. So some examples of this might be unauthorized purchases made using your debit card or credit card number, or perhaps even forged checks. We also just want to spend a couple of minutes talking about some examples of things that are unfortunate, frustrating, and in some cases violating, but are not actually fraud. The first of which being giving someone permission to use your debit card or credit card or account information, then they use it for more than you expected or in a way you did not agree to. Again, this is a frustrating and very unfortunate, but if authorization was provided to the individual to use your card or account, this would typically not be considered fraud. Another example would be not canceling a subscription, membership, or free trial before you are charged. If your card information was entered when you signed up, that provides authorization for them to charge you as agreed, meaning this would not be considered fraud. Sometimes companies are willing to refund you, which is worth exploring if this happens to you, but a fraud claim would typically not be applicable. Another example would be if someone who is authorized to use an account as a joint owner or authorized user uses it. This can sometimes happen when elderly parents add their adult children to their account or in cases of divorce. If you share account access with someone you expect may try to use the funds or ring up charges, explore what steps you can take to remove them from the account or separate funds into individual accounts. In the example of a divorce, you may need to speak with your lawyer about how you are required to handle this. And one final example of unfortunate situations that are not actually fraud. If your kiddos get a hold of your card or use saved payment information in your devices to make purchases without your knowledge. As more and more kids use apps with in-app purchase options, it's strongly recommended that you do not keep payment information saved in devices your kids have access to in an effort to avoid this. And finally, let's talk about one more key term, scams. Scammers are intentionally deceptive and try to trick you into actually providing them your information or money. A key difference between fraud and scams is that a scam is often harder to recover losses from, as there is typically some type of authorization provided. Examples could be romance scams, where someone starts a fake relationship, usually online. This is for them to build trust and eventually start asking for money. Scammers may also use phishing to try and get people to provide personal information that is then used to steal their identity or commit fraud. Scammers have gotten really, really clever, and each and every day they're showing that they are getting better at doing this. They use a variety of methods to try to steal your information, including, but unfortunately not limited to emails, text messages, phone calls, ransomware, and a lot more. Now, let's review a few examples of scams and how they could be identified as such. Many of us receive shipments regularly. We love to shop on Amazon. So, meaning it's common to receive shipping and delivery notifications. This one immediately looks suspicious. You can see that even though this says UPS, this is not the UPS logo. It's a little hard to see here, but the from email address is not from a UPS domain. The package number in the email also does not match the package number in the subject line, which is another clue. There are also several other buttons and links throughout the email they really hope you click on. Chances are these link to a website that will either download something to your computer unknowingly or try to get you to type in personal information. Last but not least, if you search the address at the bottom of this email, it pulls up this location image, which looks nothing like a UPS shipping facility. Now let's look at another example, but this time I want you to tell me what this email looks suspicious. Um, what can we identify here? So what I'm looking for is going to be the email addresses coming from. You can see the Gmail's not really that Google or the Gmail logo. It looks fairly close. The customer is misspelled and there's a space here. And then typically you're not going to be getting a representative at the support center at Gmail, whatever that is. And then also this button, scan for viruses. Come on, it's literally in your face and it's red right there. So there's a lot of the misspellings. Again, the Gmail logo is old. The wording and sentences structure is odd. The from email is suspicious. And they really want you to click on all sorts of links. There's also a lot of urgency in this email, and that's common. They try to make it so urgent that you're not thinking clearly about how customer is misspelled, or that it's the wrong logo, or that it doesn't spell out the email address. And then suddenly there's a button you can click at the bottom to make it all go away. That's the kind of urgency that they want to create for you. Now, I think all of us can have gotten some sort of message that looks like this on the screen. Most popular is this fast track text that are incredibly annoying, but it's worked for the fraudsters because a lot of people they fall for this kind of stuff. Um, this I think we also receive notifications even from the government letting people know to not fall for it. Don't click on the link. They also get us a lot. Maybe congrats, you want a gift card. Um, when it's tax time, we process our tax returns and we get text messages when the refund is accepted. So something may look like this. The banks will typically not message you just out of nowhere. So if you're not doing anything to actively log in and you get a message from your bank, it's probably fraud, especially something that's coming from like a Google link. And then we all love to use Amazon, so I know this one would be one of the easiest ones for us to fall for. It says Amazon, we're getting a refund, and we like to think it's free money. I'm getting it back, and this is where people will start replying back with the account info, and bam, they got all your information. One word of advice for this is you can actually forward these text messages or all suspected spam to the phone number 7726, spells out spam, on your cell phone to notify the carrier and help block future spam. And I know with iPhones and the AI, we also get a little link at the bottom that says, I don't know it or it's unknown, report as spam. You can do that. I'm way too cautious for this. I do both. I'll send the message that it came from to the phone number to 7726, and I'll also click on Apple's link to report it as phishing or as fraud. Now, in summary, there are a lot of dishonest people out there who are willing to do some really extreme things to take advantage of honest people, whether it's by stealing someone's identity, committing fraud, or scamming someone. As technology has advanced and AI is on the rise, it's more important than ever to be constantly vigilant to avoid falling victim. There are a lot of ways someone might attempt to access your personal information or your hard-earned funds. On another example we want to spend some more time on because it's so prevalent is elder fraud. Unfortunately, there are scammers out there who specifically prey on and target older adults. Well, this is referred to as elder fraud. Most examples fall under the definition of scams because the efforts are typically centered on getting elderly individuals to provide information or send money themselves. There is a perception that older people have more money in the bank to target, and some people believe elders may be more susceptible to scams. Whether you consider yourself an elder or love and take care of an elder, here are some things the National Council on Aging shares as common examples of elder fraud to be aware of and guard against. A sweepstakes scam is when someone tells a person they have won a prize, like Publishers Clearinghouse or some other lottery. The alleged winner is told that they must send something, perhaps cash, gift cards, or money orders. Up front, they're gonna send the fees, the funds up front to cover the quote unquote processing fees and claim their prize. After these alleged upfront costs are paid, the scammers take that money and run with no winnings ever being materialized. In some cases, the person may even be sent their winnings up front by way of a check or money order. The person may deposit these funds and send their fees and taxes back to the scammer just in time for the deposited check to bounce and them to be out that money. Tech support scams are a way of taking advantage of an older person's perceived lack of knowledge and skills when it comes to computers and technology. A message may appear on the person's device displaying a phone number for them to call for tech support. If the person calls, they may be asked to pay a fee for help or be asked to grant the scammer authorization to remote into their computer, perhaps giving them access to files and information saved on the device. including your financial accounts. The grandparent scam is especially awful. In these situations, a scammer calls and pretends to be the individual's grandchild, asking for urgent help for something like getting out of jail, paying the rent, or something else extremely pressing. The fake grandchild usually begs the grandparent not to tell anyone, claiming their parents would be angry with them for getting into the predicament they are, calling for help getting out of. In this scam, people may again be asked to immediately send cash, gift cards, or another type of money transfer. Some scammers will impersonate various government agencies such as the IRS, Social Security Administration, or Medicare, all in an effort to demand various payments urgently or pressure individuals to provide personal information that is then used to steal their identity. This is one of the most common scams elders experience. These scammers may even be able to spoof the actual government agency's phone number, potentially appearing as the agency they are pretending to be from on the phone caller ID. Now, sometimes despite even taking careful precautions, identity theft, fraud, and scams can still occur. This can be scary, frustrating, violating, and for some people, humiliating. We want you to know that if you experience identity theft or fraud, you're not alone. Let's talk about both some signs to watch for and some steps to take as soon as you recognize something might not be right. If you notice unusual transactions on your accounts, take action immediately, even if they are small charges. Sometimes scammers will push through very small charges like $1 or less to confirm if a card or an account is active or not. They hope the charge is small enough to go undetected by the account holder or hope you may just ignore it because it's so small. However, if the charge is not blocked or disputed, they may then push a larger charge through that account. If you notice a charge you don't recognize, do a little bit of research. Sometimes valid transactions do come through under unexpected names. Think back to where you spent money recently to see if the amounts line up and do some online research under the name connected to the transaction. If you're unable to put your finger on what it is, reach out to your credit union immediately to dig deeper and take action if needed before someone cleans out your account. While it may seem like a relief at first, if you realize you suddenly stop receiving bills or statements, this can actually also be a sign someone has gained access to your accounts and changed contact information to avoid you noticing the unauthorized account usage. On the flip side of that, if you start receiving credit cards or statements in the mail that you know you did not apply for, this can be another sign that someone has used your information to apply for credit using your identity. Contact the creditor immediately to research and take action as needed if you receive an unexpected credit card in the mail. And I'm not talking about those annoying offers that come to our mail every single day. This has to be like an actual legit card that's like under your name. It's an actual Visa or MasterCard. So make sure to contact your credit union or your creditor immediately to do some research together. Another sign that someone may be using your identity is if you are unexpectedly denied credit you do apply for. Of course, not every credit denial is an indicator of identity theft, but if you believe your credit should be in good standing, dig deep into the denial reason to ensure it was not a result of identity theft. And finally, whether you are combining your credit report after a credit denial or are simply reviewing it for accuracy, which is recommended to do at least once a year, if not more often, and can be done for free at annualcreditreport.com. Look for unknown accounts or inquiries on your credit report, which could indicate someone is using your personal information to apply for credit. Even if accounts are not actually opened, unrecognized inquiries can be a sign that someone is using your information to try and open something. If you notice any of these things, what now? Well, first of all, take a deep breath. Like we just mentioned, experiencing identity theft, fraud, or a scam can bring a lot of emotions. Know that this isn't your fault. Know you're not alone, and it's all going to be okay. If you are experiencing identity theft, someone is using your information to open accounts in your name, file a report with the Federal Trade Commission at identitytheft.org or by calling 877-438-4338. They'll gather some information from you and walk you through the steps to take, including what additional authorities may need to be alerted. Whether you experience identity theft, fraud, or a scam, alert your credit union and creditors immediately. If someone has gained unauthorized access to your accounts or personal information, you will likely need to close that account and open a new one. Ask about additional security measures you can put in place for your accounts as well. You may be instructed to file a police report depending on the type of fraud that has occurred. You're also encouraged to place a fraud alert and freeze on your credit reports by contacting all credit bureaus such as TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. A fraud alert lets anyone who pulls your credit know your information may have been compromised by fraud or identity theft, so they know to take additional steps to confirm you are who you say you are. A credit freeze prevents anyone from being able to access your credit report, meaning this can help prevent new accounts from being opened using your information. It is important to be aware that this does include you. So if you need to apply for credit, remember to contact the credit bureaus to lift the freeze first. A credit freeze is a good idea to consider if you are concerned someone may try to use your information, even if they have not done so yet. If you lose documents containing personal information or are going through a messy divorce or family situation with someone who knows your identifying information, this can be a good precautionary step to take. Yes, it's an extra step to contact the credit bureaus and lift the freeze when you do need to apply for something, but this extra step is much easier than dealing with the fraud or identity theft. And finally, if someone gets a hold of your information that shouldn't have it, change your passwords for all accounts immediately. Enable multi-factor authentication as well, meaning someone will be unable to hack into the account and change the password without also having access to your phone or email to confirm the requested change. Now, as we wrap up, we want to leave you with a few tips to prevent identity theft, fraud, and scams. Unfortunately, there is no guaranteed way to ensure you will be able to avoid this. Like I mentioned earlier, even the most vigilant of people can still experience this. But just like a locked door does not prevent a criminal from breaking in, it can slow them down and give you more time to notice what is happening and react quickly before more damage is done. So, first, if someone reaches out to you, whether it's by phone, by email, or by text, and is being very high pressure and urgent with their demands, pushing you to take action without thinking it through, consider this a huge, massive red flag. Especially if this communication is unsolicited or unfamiliar. It's extremely rare that something would truly need such immediate attention that you cannot take the time to confirm the legitimacy of the request first. As a general rule, never give personal or financial information to anyone who you did not initiate communication with. Another way to protect yourself is to know what to look for by staying up to date on common scams. Knowing what other people have experienced can help you be alert to similar scam attempts. Sometimes scammers will target similar groups of people in similar areas. So keep an eye on the news for scams that may be popping up near you. You can also install trusted software to protect your devices from cyber scammers. Additionally, be sure to always create a password for your devices. If you leave your computer, tablet, or phone somewhere accidentally and it ends up in the wrong hands, a device password could be the difference between someone stealing your identity or not. Similarly, keep an eye on websites you visit to ensure they are secure. Look for the HTTPS at the front of a website's URL. The S stands for secure and indicates that website is using additional security measures. This is especially important to check on any websites you'll be entering personal or financial information into. And speaking of, I know these days everything has a password, and we all cringe at the advice to have strong, unique passwords for every account, but it really is helpful. If a scammer gets access to a password, the fewer accounts they have access to with it, the better. Consider using longer passphrases instead of passwords. They may be easier to remember and more difficult to hack. Use your favorite Taylor Swift lyrics, movie quotes, TV show quotes, something you are grateful for, something you're looking forward to, your favorite Disney ride, your current favorite meal. The possibilities are endless. Not only will a passphrase like this be memorable, but the character length will be long enough and you can add additional complexities with uppercase, letters, numbers, and special characters to end with a really strong password. Consider using a trusted, secure password manager on your devices to make it easy to keep track of unique passwords for each account. It is extremely rare that a financial institution, creditor, or government agency would reach out to you and ask you to provide personal information unsolicited. Assume that anyone initiating contact with you and asking you to provide information by phone, email, or text is suspicious and do your due diligence before providing it. Any financial institution or government agency would be glad you're keeping your information safe and would encourage you to verify the request first. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but it's also important to keep an eye on your credit report to watch for unauthorized activity. You can do this for free at annualcreditreport.com. If you're concerned about someone stealing your identity, remember that you can place a free freeze on your credit reports with the three bureaus to ideally prevent anyone from being able to open accounts in your name. And finally, trust your gut, trust your instincts. If something seems weird or off, anyone who is truly trying to help, you will not be upset that you want to confirm the legitimacy of their request. Hang up the phone and call the company's verified phone number from your statements, your credit report, insurance card, or an official verified website, and not a phone number the person on the phone tells you to call for confirmation. If they try to talk you out of this, it's further proof your right to be skeptical. Don't be afraid to ask questions or ask someone you trust for their opinion on the situation if something just doesn't feel right. It's better to be safe than sorry. Now, if you want to learn more about identity theft, fraud, and how to prevent it, scan this QR code to take you to our site for financial wellness. On this site, we also have a chatbot available. Her name is Leah that provides you with financial advice 24/7. And that concludes today's training. If you have any other questions, I am always available by a phone call or an email, along with our membership consultant, Taylor. Thank you.
Thanks, Albert. Uh, I don't know about you guys, but I went through this last year
Uh-huh.
where somebody actually got a hold of my card, and it was during the holidays. It was literally about a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to take those proper steps. Thankfully, I caught it right away when I realized I didn't have my card in my wallet.
Hmm.
But they literally, and they started off exactly like you said. They charged maybe like $2, then three, then five on
Yep.
Amazon, and then after that,
Hmm.
they hit me with like $150 because they went grocery shopping, and I'm like, oh my God. But as
And
soon as I saw it, I'm like, I haven't been to Food for Less.
that's, yep, that's exactly how they start. But you know what? Also, I have to give a shout out to the credit unions. We're on top of this stuff because I can tell you from our side, our back office, we get reports that are suspicious every single day. It can be on any and every account and amount.
Uh-huh.
And we tend to know our members a lot more personal. So we're able to see like, hey, this doesn't make any sense. Why are they shopping here? Like this isn't within their pattern. And we've called members like, hey, what are you doing with your money? What is this? Is this you? Most of the time it is them, but the amount of times we've prevented fraud is it's just crazy, especially this year. We had a huge uptick in fraud, especially around forged checks. I don't know how these people do it, but they're getting so creative at creating fake checks. Everything about it was fake. Obviously, the account and the routing number weren't, but
Uh-huh.
everything about it was fake. And this happened throughout the country to several of our members. They were getting fraudulent checks, like on the East Coast. It's just crazy. And then we also had a specific, I think we were calling it like some sort of ring in Burbank,
Mhm.
where we had this one person stand so close to one of our members when he was checking out. So what they did is that these people looked over just a little over our member's shoulder to get their PIN. And what they did after they did the transaction, whatever, and then that fraudster found our member in the parking lot. I don't know how they did it. They distracted him so well that they somehow pickpocketed his debit card, and
Oh,
they already had the PIN. And you know what these fraudsters did? They came to our ATM to take money from one of our members. So I had the police in here, like right away. I was like, I got video, I got pictures. This is a guy, like, go get him. But it was apparently a ring that the Burbank police was looking into for fraud.
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's crazy. And I think that the one of the things that we talk about is it's not always the case, but more and more we're seeing that a lot of it is it's human error. So it's things that they go straight to the
Yep.
human. It's very rarely that someone will say, "Oh, I have fraud on my debit card." I have no clue how it happened. It must have been, some random thing. It's usually like again those phishing emails where they'll send something and they hey, you got to pay this bill because, your water and power is going to get shut off. Or I even have multiple times at my old job and current one where it says, hey, give me an Amazon card. Like, I need it for this event that we're doing. Like, can you do it before work? And and they do it like before or after hours, so they're not expecting it. And you can't like confirm with someone in your office. So it's so scary, and you really got to be on top of it because email, text, everything, pop-ups on your phone and on your computer. It's so scary. So that's why we do stuff like this and try to tell as many people because you just got to be so careful nowadays.
Oh yeah, especially right now during the holidays.
Yeah,
Especially right now,
Yeah.
it's crazy out there. People are just, after that money.
a
So
hundred
We
percent.
gotta love our seniors. We have a lot of our seniors. Everybody deserves love, but
yeah.
they fall for these romance scams so many times again and again. And it's so sad because these folks, they've worked literally an entire lifetime to just see their money go in like less than a week.
Hmm.
It's so sad.
I don't know if you guys have watched The Beekeeper. Have you watched that movie?
I
Yes,
have
with
not.
Jason Statham.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
movie. Oh my God. I was like, oh no, this is like it's very relevant to the times that we're living in, unfortunately. It's just
Yeah.
crazy. So I know it was a fiction movie, but still, I mean, it's
No,
pretty
absolutely.
it's
It's
pretty
crazy how some of those movies seem like far-fetched.
yeah.
But they're so much closer to reality than a lot of people realize.
Yeah. Right. Well,
Um,
thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys taking the time for presenting again tonight, and we'll touch base sometime next week to see if we could start planning out the next quarter.
yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds great.
let's do it.
All
Thanks,
right.
Lisa.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful night.
You
Thank
too. Take
you.
care.